Sunday night, Al Gore said that he wanted this resolved by mid-December, and wouldn't say categorically that the Florida Supreme Court would be the end game, that there in fact have to be a finality for the Seminole County case dealing with absentee ballots and so forth. David Boies yesterday said, no, the Florida Supreme Court is it. We have our appeal. We'll abide by it. And now, even more important, Joe Lieberman, the Democratic candidate for vice president, said, whatever the Florida Supreme Court decides is it for us. This will be over in a matter of days, which means early December, not mid-December. The deadline has shifted for the Gore campaign.
Folks like Dick Gephardt that we saw a moment ago, Tom Daschle, of course, remain very publicly supportive, but that support has to be quickly waning, don't you think, Tim?
Well, the Democrats I've spoken to are resigned to the fact that this is exceedingly uphill, but they believe, in words of one, this is the bottom of the ninth. There are 2 outs, and there are 2 strikes on the batter. But Al Gore deserves to get that 3rd strike, to get one last swing, if you will. He's been fighting this campaign for 18 months. Let him go to the Florida Supreme Court. There may be a miracle in store. They don't expect it, but they think it would bring much greater resolution to the issue, not only for the country, but for the candidate.
Let's take a look at the new NBC News poll, Tim, that is out. The first one, we're going to show several of them, but let's talk about the first one. Has Bush won the presidency? 63% say yes, 25% no, 12% not sure. What do you make of that, Tim?
Well, it's overwhelming considering only about 48% of the American people voted for George W. Bush. Now nearly 2 out of 3 say that he has won the election. People believe that a month after the election day, they have now come to believe that a winner has been, in effect, identified, and his name is George W. Bush.
Yeah, let's run through the next 2 polls, and then I want to get your reaction on them as well. Is there any doubt as to who won? 47% say yes. Almost half. 49% say no, 4% not sure. And then you pose the question, should Gore concede? And almost 60% say yes, 38% say no, Tim.
That first question, Greg, is quite interesting. 47%, nearly a majority of the country, have some doubt. In their minds, in many people's minds, even Bush supporters, this race was basically a tie. But someone had to win, and you can't flip a coin in a presidential race. You have to go through the political and legal process. And there will always be a doubt in many people's minds as to whether the right outcome was arrived at. But it is heading towards that. And I think the third question that you showed indicates now that the number of people who want Al Gore to concede is a solid majority, 59%. My guess is that will increase a bit more each day. But I think that Al Gore can buy a day or 2 to get resolution from the Florida Supreme Court, as long as the Democratic Party remains loyally behind him, and I have every indication they are willing to wait for the Florida Supreme Court decision, but no more.
All right. Tim, we're going to squeeze in a real quick break. Lots more questions if you can.
We don't have any idea whether they're going to have any documents. We don't know what they're going to be testifying from. It's extremely difficult to...
And of course, discovery is closed now.
That's correct. But it's extremely difficult for us to be able to confront these witnesses just by telephone. And I really do object to it. I don't see how we can effectively present our case.
Well, would you feel more comfortable if we were able to set up a video conferencing between their offices and our office? Of course, we'd have to start working on that now. But I think we could accommodate your concerns by setting up video conferencing equipment between their offices and the courthouse.
Given the difficulty that we've had in terms of hearing everybody in terms of telephones, I would agree if there's any practical way to do that, that would be certainly preferable to doing it by telephone.
And I've said this, but Doug's the magic man on video conferencing, so...
It looks like insanity right now.
When we reconvene, I'll be able to tell you if we're going to be able to do that. So I'll let you know I'm at reconvene. Mr. Richards.
Your Honor, I think this would be an excellent time for a break, but it might be useful to you to know that while the parties are conscientiously attempting to agree to a long laundry list of facts, I'm going to make the first argument on motion to dismiss my position that there are only 4 facts material to your decision in this case, and they are completely undisputed. Everybody will agree to them.
We are are going to take a break. This is a good time for it. But I do want council to confer, because what it sounds to me like is it sounds like you guys are close to coming up with some agreement, some stipulation on at least what some of the facts are.
Your Honor, if I may, I'd like to ask Mr. Seiler to respond to that, because he's the one who's been working on the stipulation while I've been getting ready for the argument.
And in the interest of being helpful, Your Honor, Mr. Miller from the firm that's assisting Mr. Richards, the Miller Cassidy firm, and that's Stuart Levy's colleague, he sent us this morning 56 proposed facts, which incorporated the facts that we suggested at the end. And we sent him our comments mid-morning, and he told me on the phone, I don't think he's here, that he thought we were very close to agreement. His problem was that all the people he had to talk to, co-counsel for President nominee Bush and all the other defendants, are in this courtroom. And he told me he couldn't talk to them until this was done. And he is the repository of the current workings there. So it might take a little longer for them to talk amongst themselves to figure out if we're done. If they're ready to do that, we can get it done very quickly. If they can't, I just don't want the court to have a misimpression that the people here can get it all done, because I think that piece of information is...
I mean, we'll take whatever time is necessary, and I'll make my conference room available to counsel if you want to confer with each other or with your respective offices.
Your Honor, I have what I believe was an effort to incorporate this information here in multiple copies. It represents 53 stipulations. I can represent to the court that every party on the defendant's side is prepared to join in each and every one of these 53. I'm prepared unilaterally to file them, and I think everyone would join in them, so it would eliminate that proof by the plaintiffs whether they stipulate it or not. My suggestion is I hand them the list. They give me a list of anything they want me to stipulate to in addition to that, and we're going to try to stipulate to it.
I tell you what, let me hear a suggestion on the time that we need. 40 minutes, 45 minutes?
If their list incorporates our comments, it will take less. If their list doesn't, it might take longer, but that's a good bet, Your Honor. I will start with that.
We'll break for 45 minutes. I will make my conference room available to you if you need it, and we'll reconvene. Court in recess. Now, we're continuing to work on allowing the supervisors of election to appear by telephone conference. I'm sorry, by television conference. Where are these supervisors? In what cities?
Orange County, Osceola County, we heard from Broward County, Alachua County, and Sarasota County, Your Honor. Orange, which is Orlando, Osceola, which is Kissimmee, Broward, I guess we've agreed that she will appear by telephone, Sarasota County, and Alachua County, Gainesville.
Okay. And the court administrator's office is continuing to work on that, but at this point it looks like a real good possibility, and we'll be able to report later, I suppose, huh? Okay, thank you.
Your Honor, can my office tell them that they don't have to be here in person yet?
Nope. Not just yet.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
Your Honor, if I may, in regard to that, we also ask, though, given the unusual nature of how it's going to be done, that if they have any documents that the election supervisors are going to be testifying from or using, that they be provided to us tonight.
I think that's a good idea, or we'll make sure that we have a fax machine at the facility, at the district facility, and a fax machine here, so we can actually share documents. But I'll take that up before we recess for the evening.
Thank you.
Now, before I get to the stipulation that was handed to me just a few minutes ago, let me go through another couple of matters.